Everybody, it's your main man Hollywood Chuck back with another Top TV. I got my special guest, author Grace K for short for everybody you know. And she's come to tell her story about her new book, a self-entitled book about your life.
Yes.
He hurt me.
He hurt me.
And so I read parts of the book and then I went into the book just a little bit before we got online. And you really go deep into what happened to you as a child, as a teenager, and an adult.
Yes.
And I commend you for, telling your truth. Because a lot of times people can't tell the truth. So the first thing that I wanted to ask you was, why wait till now to write the book?
So I first wanted to write years ago. I was actually with the Arab, and I wanted to write the book. But I'm like, how can I write a book about abuse and healing, and I'm still with him? Even my aunt encouraged me. She's like, yeah, when you write that book, I'm gonna buy it. This is years ago. So this is what I was with him, like 2011 to 2013. I want to say. So this is back then.
Right.
I wasn't in a space to be healed enough to write it. I tried, but I wasn't healed. I was still angry. I was still bitter. I was still hurt. So a couple months ago, I was sitting on the couch, and God literally gave it to me.
Gave you the strength to write the book?
It's like I heard a voice, write the book. And I started writing. I was done with it in about 4 days. But then the editing, I just kept writing. I couldn't stop. The editing took longer because I kept taking stuff in, putting stuff out, taking stuff out. It was a lot. So I definitely shortened it. The paperback, I want to say, is only about maybe 70 or so pages. It was like 200. And I didn't want it to be super long and drawn out.
Right. You want to keep the interest of the reader still, even as a biography, because some people will be like, I'm telling my truth, I'm putting everything in there, but you still, as an author, wanted to keep the interest of the readers.
And I want to be straight and to the point. And that was that. I just didn't want it to be long and drawn out. And it's just not painful. It doesn't bother me now anymore. I'm healed. I've done therapy and stuff. So I didn't want to keep reading it over and over and over again. Editing, I have to keep reading the same stuff over and over. So I want to shorten it because I know I have a short attention span at my age now. I don't want to read a super long book, You want
to have like your 200 pages and be done with it.
Yeah, so I shortened it a lot. So on there, I'm going to do a part 2, and that'll be everything that I admitted.
So you're going to do a part 2 to this, the He Hurt Me?
Yes.
Part 2.
Yeah, there will be a part 2, and that'll have stuff that I didn't include in a part 1. Just so that people ain't overwhelmed. And like I said, I couldn't be... I'm not sure that some of my family members, even though some of this stuff is 10 years old, will go and try to find him. I cannot say
about what happened with you.
Yes. Like that. Like I never involved my family. Like I come from a big family, a known family. And we be crazy. And we really about that life. So I would never involve my family in a relationship that I'm in. If I'm like, oh, come beat him up. He be
right.
If I know I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that'd be like and in a lot of families, it'd be a domestic violence relationship going on, and you would get into it, because I know me as a big cousin, me as a big brother, I have got into, situations where I had to step in, you know what I'm saying? But then it's like, if you're going to keep on messing with them, I'm not about to keep on coming over here.
I have too. I've jumped in people's arguments and fights with their spouses. I've jumped in. I'm a fighter in my family. I'm known for being one of the fighters in the family. I'll jump in.
You don't strike me as one.
What my church say? I'm 5'3", with my attitude 6'2".
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm one of the fighters in my family. I don't care how big or small you are. Like, I wasn't just laying there getting my ass beat. We was going at it.
Yeah.
Like,
so
going at it.
Let me ask you a question, because I read in the book that, the guy that you was with came from a background of a decent family. He wasn't the first guy?
No. He came from a fucked up family.
He came from a fucked up family. So he came from a fucked up family. This was the guy that breath stink and
yes, that's him.
Was real violent,
yes,
and things like that. And this was your first boyfriend?
Yes.
As a teenager?
As a teenager. Well, I didn't. my first serious relationship as a teenager. I met him at 17. I mean, I wasn't a virgin when I met him.
Right.
And that caused a whole bunch of arguments too. Like, you know these things and you want to argue. You still being with me, you want to argue and fight with me about stuff I did before I met you. And now
you said you wasn't a virgin when you met him?
I was not.
Okay. At what age?
I was 17 when I met him. I lost my virginity a year before I met him.
So at like 16.
Yeah, like when I had friends and stuff that was fucking at 12
the
and 13.
normal age.
Yeah, I had friends that was fucking at 12 and 13. I wasn't.
Right. So he was upset that you wasn't a virgin when he met you.
Yes, he was like down the line. We get to arguing about that, and then the area I grew up in, the 131st Harvard area. So I grew up on Glendale, right across from Leonard Crave, the
hood.
The hood, yeah, up the way. I knew people in the area. He was mad about where I was raised. That I'm like, you gotta take that up with my parents.
Did you think that he was insecure because you was a beautiful young lady?
Yes.
That was your neighborhood. Everybody knew you. It wasn't so much that people was trying to talk to you, so to speak.
Everybody was.
But
yeah, he was.
But you were still a neighborhood favorite.
I was no. See, I wasn't like the other girls in my area. I wasn't held. Oh, I'm in this nigga face. He look. I played the background. Like I'm not gonna be on. I'm not gonna go outside.
Right.
So like the dudes I messed with, I didn't go around bragging. Oh, I just came from so and so house. I didn't do that.
So.
And I think that's why the dudes was attracted to me. Like, who is she? She ain't on my dick. Like I wasn't all up in everybody's face like they was. And my parents were strict. The only parties I went to, I had to sneak to. Like they were strict. I wasn't out all type of nights. No.
So when did you? We ain't gonna say his name, but when did you meet boyfriend number one?
I met him when I was 17. I was on the RTA coming from Tri-C because by the time I got to 12th grade, I was getting out of high school at 9:30. I was going to John Carroll.
You was advanced.
Yeah, I went to Whitney Young, and you know back then Whitney Young was a big prestigious school or whatever.
Yeah.
I was getting out of high school at 9:30, and I was going to John Carroll and Tri-C.
Now let me ask you a question, Kay. What was the first sign of that you saw that this guy was violent? But you overlooked it because, of course, you like him, and then y'all do.
I don't know even why I liked him. He's not my type at all. Like most of the guys I've dated are decent looking. They gonna have some money, and it's not just a requirement. It's just they just so happen to have money.
Yeah.
And dudes, I don't go begging. They just want to spend. They just want to do.
Well, that's 9 times out of 10. With a guy like you, he gonna do for you.
He gave me his number on the bus, and I had it written down on my folder where I had a bunch of other numbers written down. I meant to call someone else, end up calling him, and we talking, and then when we met up in person, like a week later, I said, "Oh shit,
wrong guy."
That's the wrong guy. But he was talking that shit, you know.
Yeah, he was in your ear, huh?
He was talking that shit.
He like, I got me one. Yeah. She cold. Oh yeah, I ain't letting her slide.
The plan was to, finish high school. I was in 12th grade. He was in 11th because his birthday was late, even though we were the same age. I go to college. I had gotten into Spelman, Ohio State. I got into every college I applied to. Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown.
So you was like an honor student, so to speak, straight A student.
I should have been, but I was
A's and B's.
Yeah, I
no
was,
D's and F's though.
I had F and gym, which is crazy because I'm athletic.
That's gym.
I heard F and gym. I think I had a couple of seasons. That's only because I started skipping school. I didn't like the teachers. I was fighting. Yeah.
So you met this guy
on the RTA.
On the RTA. You called the wrong number. Y'all ended up dating. He woos you in. He gets you in. He gets you to take interest in him.
Yes.
And once you take interest in him, what's the first sign of this guy is a little bit too aggressive?
We were months in, and he found the book bag. I had that book bag since 11th grade. He was going through my book bag one day. He got me to smoke a joint. I don't like weed. I don't care. I can count on my hands the times I smoke weed. And he went through my book bag. He found something from somebody that lived in my area that I used to date before him, and all hell broke loose. And I believe it's because he was jealous. The guy was good looking, light skinned, and back then I was colorist. I like light skinned guys. Today I can't stand a light skinned man. I was colorist back then, and all hell broke loose. He pushed me against the wall, and I'm like, oh, we about to fight in here. And then his sister came downstairs, and then and that was that. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And like I said, I was 17.
So that was the first. That was the first sign of domestic violence that you seen from him.
Yeah.
And you didn't think none of it.
No, I was 17. Remember, I grew up with it. I'm like, well, maybe it was just gonna be that push. I grew up with reviewing those things, and even if somebody say, "Oh, don't end up with a man like your dad," it's what I see.
Right, because you know that you heard.
You stayed with somebody this long. You know, y'all married this long. You know, maybe
maybe
and I was
things
17.
have changed. Maybe.
Yeah, I was 17, and then like I said, he talked that shit. I would go to college. What I did would be what I fell back on. He would sell drugs and stuff. And that sounded good to a 17-year-old.
So he was getting money. He was out there. He was out there getting a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? He was paying attention to you. But so fast forward, and what was the first sign like this dude beating on me? But I love him or I care about him. I ain't about to leave.
I pretty much moved in with him at his mother's house. I was 18 now, out of high school. I had graduated. I was on high step, and he did not want me to perform at our competition. He was just I don't want you wearing an outfit. Like, we wore stockings under it. He didn't want me doing that.
You know how they be.
Prom. He didn't want me to go to prom by myself. He said he was going to go to prom with me, but my outfit, I had everything paid for, hair, outfit. He showed me the suit he had. It was like a wool suit. And it was checkered, black and white.
Trash.
He was not. It was like,
he was swag.
He said he got it from his dad. And
he was swag though.
And they was Muslim. It looked like one of them outfits. You
did say he was Muslim.
Yeah, it like one of them outfits. I had no business.
In the book says he's Muslim.
I had no business being with him anyway, because I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought I could. They tried converting me. It wasn't working. My faith is strong. Like, when they be out there trying to sell them bean pies.
Yeah.
One of them outfits. One of them suits.
Shout out to all my Muslim brothers. My Jewish brothers, my Christian brothers. I grew up Baptist, but I rock with them all. You know what I mean? I ain't knocking.
No disrespect.
I ain't knocking them.
No disrespect, but I had no business, according to my religion,
being
unequally yoked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just didn't go to prom. I'm like, I won't go.
So you had all this stuff together. You didn't go to prom. He pulled out his suit. Y'all didn't go to prom.
He wasn't going with me like that.
What happened next? He wasn't going in that wool suit.
I was working. I had 3 jobs. I started getting tattoos. He didn't like that. And I'm like, he didn't like anything. He just got real insecure. He even came to my house, met my mother, and in the basement they had a conversation. And I guess he told her after she took him home, my mother like, he told me he insecure. You better leave him right now. He's like, your dad was. I'm like, no, he ain't like that.
That's what he told your mom.
He told my mom that he was insecure, and my mother, she did him dirty. Every chance she got, you ugly, you got poison juice in your lips. He had these really big lips. You dirty, you ugly.
What did you see in him?
I didn't want to be at home. He sold me a dream. I was on my way to Spelman.
So what, he had his own place and all that stuff?
Nope. I moved in with him and his mother and his sister and his little sister.
But he had free will at his place.
Yes.
With his mother.
With his mother, he could do whatever. His father was a little more strict. Like I said, he ended up on house arrest. So that ended up being at his father's house. When he was with his father for those few months while he was on house arrest, I could come over for a certain amount of hours, but not after a certain time. Because even though I had turned 18, he hadn't turned 18 yet. He was still 17.
So when did the real violence start?
When I moved in with him at his mother's house.
And he would just beat you?
Yeah, beat me up, any little thing.
Like, just beat you up like a guy? Fight you like a guy?
Fight me like a nigga. We be in there working. And we both be sweaty. Like, I'm not going to lay there and take it. But I shouldn't have to fight in my home or fight my partner. It was times his mother had to get him off of me. She beat him.
So his mother would be there while he was doing this?
She came upstairs and bust that door open, and she beat him for beating me. And she like, he's a no good. She had her vices with drugs. But she wasn't like, most black women, they toxic with their sons.
Did he have a father in the household?
Father wasn't in the household. Mother had multiple children, multiple
So
dads.
she been through the same thing, basically.
And she told me later, it was a couple months before I finally left him, she said, everything he was telling me he doing to you, his daddy did to me. Now, I guess his father at this point was changed, because his father would tell me too, like, you need to leave him. You're a smart lady, Miss. Well, he called me by my government name. Miss K, you're a smart lady. go to school.
What was it? Was it the sex? Was it the money? What was it?
The freedom, and I did not want to go.
Oh, the freedom. So you can go and leave as you please.
Yes.
The freedom was a little because in the book you say that your parents was way strict.
They were very strict. I did
so
not want to
that was a basically free will when you moved over there.
Yeah, I was leaving home regardless whether it was college or a boy. He convinced me not to go to Spelman, not to go to Ohio State, and then I'm like,
really?
I'm going to Baldwin Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Berea. Convinced. I went to the opening weekend, stayed the night for the opening weekend and everything, and convinced me not to go. You're gonna leave me for somebody better. If you love me, you'll show me that you're not gonna leave me for somebody better and go to college. I'm like, all right.
So what did he want you to show him that?
Not go to college, stay at home in the house with him.
So you didn't go to school?
I did not go to college. There was a point when we were 19. We moved into our first apartment together, and later that year,
he had you.
He had me. Yeah. Even then, my father and my mother gave us some stuff to go into the apartment, but he had me once we moved in there. And then we really got to fighting. And then
you was in love.
Yeah.
Because you stayed.
Yeah.
With him.
That fresh teenage love. Yeah.
Yeah, you was in love. You know, as bad as you say he looked, as bad as you say his breath stinked, as bad as a guy as he was, you was in love at that point.
Mm-hmm. And I did not want to go home.
And you didn't want to go home because you had freedom. Because at home, you suffered the same type of abuse from your father and your mother.
Yeah. I didn't. I wanted to get away. But
let me ask you a question, Kay. Do you think that you suffering that abuse from your mother and your father, was it hard for you to run away from that, and that's why you stayed with your first boyfriend, because you could kind of like resonate with what was going on?
I figured like, yeah, my mother stuck it out, maybe I can stick it out. He just kept on promising, we gonna get mansions, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that, and I'm just like, how? You don't want me to work, you're scared I'm gonna leave you for a stranger or whoever. You barely work because you want to be at home with me, you're insecure, or you get the money, you go smoke it and drink it with your friends. You know. Did you
were you gonna leave him?
I was. I packed up and left multiple times. I went right back. He'd call and I'll go right back. And or I get home and my mother be nagging and I'm like, I want to hear that shit.
You said that you would take his toothbrush and rub it in the toilet.
Yeah.
To get back at him for the beatings that he would do to you.
Yeah. I'm not an angel.
Right.
I am a menace if I need to be. So yeah, I did. I sure did.
Was it painful for you to still be there and have to take these beatings, but know that you had the freedom to just come and go as you wanted to?
I didn't.
Or were you a fighter? Because coming up, I would see relationships. I know a couple coming up in my hood. They would just fight all the time. They would knock out, drag out fights. And this dude would be beating this girl, and she would still be fighting back. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll see them a little bit later. They'd be hugged up.
Yeah, so we was fighting at least once a week, but it was always an argument. It was the emotional was worse than it. One day I'm like, can you slap me? They're like, what? I'm like, you are literally talking. It's 4 a.m. You've been talking my ear off since 10 p.m. It's 4 a.m. I'm tired.
So you would rather give. In
that moment, I just said that because he just wouldn't shut up.
So he was venting to you about what?
He wasn't venting. He just thought he knew so much about life. And this particular night, I wanted to go back to college.
And you said that he knew so much about life because his mother. You in the book you said he thought he knew so much about life because his mother was an addict. He came up in the drug house, the gambling house, everything like that, hustling and things like that.
Yeah, he just thought he was so smart. And because his mother was a Gemini, her birthday is June 11th, mine is June 15th. He said, and she likes you. You're gonna be you just like her because y'all both Gemini. I'm like, nigga, what? Like his thinking was just completely off.
Yeah.
He was a crack baby. He was a complete crash out, and he's rubbing down that he never did any other drugs but weed and alcohol.
But you were saying in the book the way he was acting,
he had like he was on something.
He was on like cocaine or something.
Yeah. A few years ago, somebody posted him in that page, "Sis, is this your man?" And somebody under the comments was like, and I'm just laughing. Somebody was like, "Oh yeah, You know what that page is? Maybe
Yeah, I'm here.
She's like, oh yeah, he used to do powder back in the day, and in my mind, I'm like, I knew it.
So he was doing doing drugs.
You know, I've spoken to him a few years ago. He apologized for everything. Whoop de woo. He did go to jail.
Do you forgive him for all the things that he did?
Yeah,
or
I'm over it.
You past that, you healed.
Yes, I'm over it. I'm past it. It doesn't bother me anymore.
What did it take you to leave though that situation? Because we could talk about all the fights and everything like that, but what gave you the strength? What gave you the courage to say, you know, I don't care about his house. I don't care that I got this freedom. I got to get out of here because I might die here. Okay,
so we used to get money together. I'm gonna tell you that before y'all scammers were scamming, I was getting that money. We had money. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna hold you. I always had a roof over my head. There was times where I did not eat. You know, he was fucking away the money. Like it was
balling out of control.
I'm at home and he out spending all the money, but we had that money. So before y'all was doing all the little scams and stuff y'all be trying to do nowadays, been there, done that 10 plus years ago. Like we was getting that money. I'm not gonna hold you. We was getting some money. He didn't want me to work. I had just found out he had been picking up cigarette butts off the ground. Like I walked into our den of our apartment, and I was wondering why I found a can of cigarette butts in the cabinet when he had left out. I came back, and he came back. I walked in there, and he was getting a little bits of the used tobacco out of the cigarette butt and rolled it in paper. I'm like,
it's bad.
I just thought I had a dream about being back at home, being back on 131st, and in the dream, the face of somebody I had messed with before him, like it just like his face just rolled across, like it was in a movie, like a movie.
Like you had a premonition.
Not that, I just had the dream and I saw this person's face on my mind. Like, dang, I need to go.